Hello guys, welcome to a new video. In this video I want to briefly talk about backing up your data on your computer. So I'm going to specifically talk about Macintosh computers. However, this will be applicable to any of you guys out there who have a PC as well. So let's talk about a utility called Time Machine, which is a backup utility within macOS. It allows you to basically back up your entire operating system and programs and applications and data to external hard drive. Now, if you're like me and you're someone who makes lots of videos, obviously it's a good idea to back up your source material as well as your export material to an external hard drive. And whenever doing a backup, what I tend to do is I remove all the non-essential data for the operating system in order to free up as much space as possible. So on average, out of a 1 terabyte hard drive, I might have about 300 gigabytes worth of data to back up because I've backed up all the source material already and deleted it. So I use an external hard drive. You can use various ones that are out there. You know, they vary in size to small ones like this or large ones. I'll just show you what a large one looks like. A large one, which is like that, which is just basically an external caddy that contains a 3.5 inch 7200 RPM hard drive, and I use this as a backup as well, to back up the entire operating system. The one thing about Macintosh computers is that is better than PC systems, in my opinion, is you can copy all applications, installations, and just restore everything, literally. You don't have to install any programs that you previously installed. You just basically back up the entirety. Now, I don't know if PCs with Windows 10 allows you to do that anymore currently. But I do remember when I did try and back up PCs using Windows 7, normally you had to reinstall all the various programs that I had. So this is why I've always liked Mac OS, because it allows you to copy all your programs without having to reinstall them all. And I would recommend that you do a Time Machine backup at least once every 6 months. I just want to make this really clear, guys, that it has saved my butt so many times when my computer has got corrupted, something's gone wrong with the operating system, maybe it was a hard drive fault, that maybe there was a software conflict, or the Mac OS operating system got infected with something and it stopped working. Now, it does happen, it's rare, but it does happen. And if you've not done a Time Machine backup, you will be kicking yourself, because if you're someone like me and you've got Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, various streaming software, recording software, the full Adobe suite, basically, such as Director, Dreamweaver, all those fancy programs that you use to do your various creative stuff. If that suddenly vanished from your computer, you'd be kicking yourself, because it is quite an expensive outlay to repurchase those and reinstall them. I know Adobe's introduced a subscription basis now, but even the subscription for all those programs would cost you a small fortune. I personally use CS6, which was a bunch of programs that was given to me on a previous iMac, so I didn't need to buy those software, and all I do is import everything into a new iMac computer, and I always back it up. So whenever I have a problem with my Macintosh crashing, or the dreaded time bomb, as I call it, sometimes you do get like a bomb symbol. Well, I used to on an older computer anyway, from time to time, and I had to restore everything, and that external hard drive has saved my butt so many times. How do you do a backup Time Machine? Well, basically you go into your preferences, click on Time Machine, you know, connect ideally USB 3 because it's quick, to your computer, and it's a simple process of clicking and it does it automatically, and it saves everything that's on your hard drive, all your programs, all your documents, all of that great stuff, and it saves it onto an external hard drive. Because you don't use that external hard drive very often, you might only use it a few times a year, that hard drive will probably last you, I would say, 20 years, you know, literally. So every time I decide to do a backup on my computer, or whether I get a new iMac or a new desktop computer, you can duplicate your operating system that I had on one computer to another. So as you can see, I've got an iMac here. I don't know if you can see in the background there, I've got a Mac Pro. Now, what I have done, because I've been doing quite a bit of testing, is I've taken the entire operating system, which is Mavericks, off my iMac and popped it on an SSD, a standard 7200 RPM hard drive, and I also was testing out another SSD drive as well. So I had it basically on 3 hard drives copied across from the iMac, so I could test which was fastest, which is quicker. I've done some recent videos, check those out, regarding conventional hard drive versus SSD, which is faster. But the point of this video is just to make it really important that everyone understands how important backing up your data is, especially the operating system, because sometimes Apple comes out with a new operating system like Syria, High Syria, and I think previous to that, what Yosemite, and then it was Mavericks. Before that, I think it was Lion. And it's a good idea to save an older operating system, because not all your old programs that you've got on your older operating system will work on the newer operating systems that Apple update and create. An example of that is I've got Final Cut Pro 10 optimized on Mavericks, but it won't work on the new High Syria. To be able to get it to work on High Syria, I'd probably have to repurchase it from the App Store on Apple's website. And also a lot of my CS6 software won't work on the new updated operating systems. So in order for me to use those programs, I have to revert to an old operating system, which is Mavericks, which is on here on this iMac, as well as duplicated onto the Mac Pro. So I just wanted to make it a video about backing up your data and using the Time Machine, because you can't always download the older operating systems, the older OS from Apple, because they've updated the download and you can't download that older operating system anymore unless you go to third-party companies. And I would strongly recommend you don't trust any of those third-party companies, because you don't know what sort of malware they're inputting into the download. So be really careful, guys, about doing it from third-party companies. So I trust Apple generally to be decent, and there shouldn't be any bugs or problems in there. So doing the Time Machine, as well as backing up your data, you're backing up the operating system that you previously had. Don't get me wrong, yeah, sure, the new operating systems are going to be better, more secure and that sort of thing. However, some of your older programs might not work on the new operating system, so you might still want to be able to revert to the older OS. An example is, on the Mac Pro here we've got 4 hard drives. You could potentially put a different OS on each single one. You could have Mavericks on one, Yosemite on one, Siri on one, High Siri on another. So you could use all 4 hard drives and have 4 operating systems basically. So it'd be a matter of just pulling 3 of them out a little bit so you can run off Mavericks, or pulling that one out and putting another one in and running High Syria. It's all relative, but it's always a good idea to back up not just your data and your information, as well as the operating system. So I just want to do a bit of a video and a bit of a chat to really discuss the Time Machine backup. It's a very useful tool. I wish Windows had such a useful tool in their arsenal. Yes, there is a backup facility in Windows 7 and 10, I believe. But it's not quite as comprehensive as the Mac Time Machine backup, because with the Mac Time Machine backup you back up all your programs all your documents in one go. And that's one of the things I really love about Apple computers that you can't really do on a PC, is you can't back up the entirety of what you've got on there. And at some point your hard drive is going to fail, and if you've got that backup time machine, it's a fantastic tool to basically reduplicate everything that you had or up to a certain point, and then put it onto a new computer or a different computer, or a new hard drive. So I just wanted to do a bit of an overview on how important Time Machine is. Please use it, please back up your data, because I guarantee, especially if you're a student out there doing film or photography, and you've got a project that you're working on, and then suddenly your hard drive dies, what are you going to do? What if you've been spending months and months and you've got a few days? I've been in that situation, guys, where I've lost everything and I've had to come up with something that didn't get me a good grade, because I was rushing to try and get the information. Maybe your tutor lost your work. It does happen. Happened to me. So it might happen to you. So always back up your stuff. But use Time Machine. It is really useful and handy to restore everything that you had previously. And not only that, when you get a new computer, it's handy to basically duplicate everything that you had on the old computer and put it on a new one. So just keep that in mind, that Time Machine is fantastic for doing any sort of work, and restoring everything that you had. So without a further ado, I'll say goodbye, but just remember, back up your data always. Do it at least once every 6 months, at least. And I hope this video inspired you to back up your data. Thank you.